Hello and welcome. I'm Stuart Pann, and my team is responsible for corporate planning at Intel. Our team is the team that gathers up forecast inputs from around the world, matches demand with supply, works on pricing, works on long-range planning, and makes sure that we're able to fully load Intel's factory network with the best possible products. The reason we're here today is we want to talk to you about the challenges we face as an ecosystem. I've been associated with Intel now for over 41 years, both as a customer and a supplier. And what I would like to share with you is some of the challenges that we face and why it's so important that we work together to keep innovating and to keep pushing forward in times of economic challenges. With me today is Zane Ball, and Zane, please introduce yourself.
I'm Zane Ball. I manage our data center platform engineering and architecture team in our DCAI group. And my team's role is to develop our data center platforms, our Xeon platforms, but also work with the ecosystem supply chain all around us to bring our platform to market with scale. And I couldn't be more excited to be here. This innovation event and bringing the geek back has been really exciting for us within Intel. And then here today to connect with the ecosystem supply chain as we move forward together.
So before we get into talking about some of the areas we can innovate, I'd like to go ahead and address some of the headwinds we're seeing, as part of our worldwide ecosystem community, because it is an extraordinary time. In the multiple decades I've been associated with this business, this is a downturn that motivates us to want to innovate even faster. But let me first of all just cover some of the areas where we do see weakness. We see weakness in China because of the zero COVID policies and just some of the supply chain challenges. We see weakness, of course, in Europe due to the tragedy of the Ukraine war and inflation and energy prices. We see slowdowns in the US and the Americas because of inflation. Having said this, the way to keep growing is to innovate. And now we have to work harder than ever to go compete for dollars, both from consumers, from our commercial customers, and even in our server space where we have to deliver more energy efficient products. So while the headwinds are there, I can tell you, having been doing this for a while, headwinds change to tailwinds. And they will at some point, and I'm not going to be astute enough right now to give you that forecast, but I do have enough background to say headwinds will abate, tailwinds will come in, and we have to be ready for it with the best possible products possible. So with that, Zane, I'd like to get your point of view on that.
Thanks, Stu. When there's a downturn, we always invest through the downturn. I think our industry is really best thought of as like a series of transitions, technology transitions, economic transitions. And at Intel, we love to lead through those transitions and reach out to our ecosystem supply chain through everything from new technologies to standards and drive transitions. And why do we do that? Because the future is really hard to predict. We want to predict the future by inventing the future. Our platforms drive transitions. Our upcoming Sapphire Rapids product is going to drive the DDR5 transition, the PCI Express Gen 5 transition, the CXL transition. It's going to be an anchor platform for the industry. And by working together, we can not only introduce new technologies that solve industry problems, but we can ramp them to scale. And I think that's something we do really well and something we enjoy working with this powerful ecosystem supply chain around us to make it happen.
Investing is super important in this time of economic challenge. We are still spending, in the mid $20 billion level for capital this year. We're investing in the products that Zane and his team do and the products that are coming out of our client group. We are investing in standards. We are improving our performance as a supplier. I know with some of the challenges we've seen, some of our customers were leery about investing in new platforms, so they weren't quite sure we were going to deliver on time. And we're going to continue to invest in supply chain tools and systems to enable this unified ecosystem. So despite the challenges I mentioned in terms of economic pressures around the world, the PC TAM today still remains above pre-COVID levels. Investing in semiconductors is not just important for our industry, it's important for the world. And with the landmark CHIPS Act that just got passed in Congress a few weeks ago, with investments and CHIPS Act being passed in Europe, everybody around the world has realized just how important the role semiconductors play in enabling everybody's lifestyle and lives. And this is why governments are spending to make sure that there's enough capacity out there such that when this industry doubles by the year 2030, and we believe it will to north of $1 trillion, we're all collectively ready for it.
The work your team has done and over the last year, when you talked about that on-time delivery performance, I don't think I've been in a customer meeting in a year where I wasn't thanked for standing behind the product with the supply. And that's not the only thing we do, right? To make sure we get not only our own product to market, but we get our ecosystem to market so that we can support the demand that our customers have. And this last year has been probably one of the most challenging in memory for the supply chain. And I think we all together performed really well. We were able to design our platforms in a way that thought deeply about a resilient supply chain. We qualified additional suppliers when necessary. We worked deep in the ecosystem to find problem spots and work together so that we could discern the true demand and make things happen to get the supply chain moving. And I feel just so good about that. And I think there's so much we learned from this experience that is really going to build the most secure supply chain going forward.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, you've heard a lot in the press about this idea of match sets, that when you're building a platform, you have to have everything on that platform, from the CPU to the peripheral chips to the power delivery ICs. And without all those components all going on a board, we can't get out the technology that we need to get these platforms out to these huge, TAMs that we serve. And this is, once again, why the importance of the ecosystem is so great. I think this past year, we've done an unprecedented level of reaching out to our partners, whether they be power IC guys, USB delivery, panel guys, driver ICs. Everywhere we've gone, we've worked so much hard to get the complement of components we need to build complete systems. And that was an expensive lesson for us to learn, and one that we plan on taking those learnings and going forward. So as we work with the ecosystem, we'll work with you to make sure that all the technology is available, and we'll invest with partners, whether it be technical enabling or even some level of capacity support. Because for us to satisfy the needs of our customers, we have to satisfy it at the platform level.
I think, we are already working through what the future is going to be. We don't deliver that secure supply chain after the fact. We start years in advance. And that comes with anticipating what the future needs of computing are. And as I mentioned before, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And that's very much our approach. And Intel's been doing this for a long time. If you think back, 50 years from the invention of the microprocessor, the invention of the DRAM, but not just that, right? It was also all the interconnects that you open up any computer in the world and you're going to find things like USB, you're going to find things like PCI Express. And if you go back to what we remember, the ISA-bus and those early computers, Intel invented that technology with the ecosystem, and we drove it into volume on our platforms, and we drove those transitions. We have future transitions that we have to work through. And the challenges that we face going forward, I think are, maybe even a little bit bigger than the ones we've had in the past, because now it's not just about making computers that go faster and can consume more data. We have to think about things like security. We have to think of things like sustainability and keeping the carbon footprint in check. And we have to build systems that are more reliable than ever before, as our customers will deploy literally networks of gigantic computers with billions of CPU cores that deliver services that are ever more important to the world economy. So there's a lot of challenge ahead of us, and there's a lot of transitions to come that we need to work together to make happen.
And I think your mention of sustainability is very important to both us and our ecosystem partners. There is an absolute need for all of us to work on how do we make our products more sustainable, whether it's how we manufacture, how we limit greenhouse gases, how we limit the use of water in our own supply chain, how we work with partners in their manufacturing process to do the same kind of thing, and how do we manage energy consumption. The world is looking for us to do more energy efficient computers, whether it be servers, desktops, laptops. All of those things need to become more and more energy efficient if we are to achieve some of the goals we're taking for the planet. And I think this is a new focus for us as an ecosystem, and it's one you're going to see us put increasingly more focus on going forward, because we need to do our part as an ecosystem to help the planet stay healthy.
Such a good point, Stu. There's sort of two sets of sustainability actions that I think about. There's the ones that Intel just owns all on our own, right? We have a goal to be net zero by 2040. Today I think it's 80% of the energy that we consume is sustainable green energy, and we will be transparent and drive that carbon footprint of what we do. But that's really not enough. The ecosystem looks to Intel to lead on the definition of those computers and the path to much more energy efficient computing. We're going to drive a 10x improvement in energy efficiency by 2030. And we're going to work with the ecosystem to make the entire supply chain more sustainable. We're driving an initiative working with our partners in OCP to build modular servers so we can drive reuse of server components and versus rip and replace kind of architectures. We're investing in immersion cooling technologies, which can remove fairly substantial amount of power used to drive fans to cool the data center computers. It can also really cut into the water usage that modern data centers often consume. Sometimes, in the order of 10,000 gallons a day. A liquid immersion system, doesn't consume water at all. So there's big challenges, but there's big opportunities. But we're going to have to work together to drive those technology transitions together to really make a difference.
And we're going to do this in an open framework. Right? The foundation of this company has always been about open systems, from its inception and the work we did on the IBM PC to help make that an open system. You, as our ecosystem partners, can count on us remaining open for the future. And we're going to continue to horizontalize and allow people the opportunity to innovate. So for example, the UCIe standard that we're going to be talking about here at the conference is a way to mix and match different components actually inside a chip itself to do the most energy efficient design possible. We're working on things with one API, a software standard that supports multiple architectures and allows people the opportunity to innovate at multiple levels. And you can count on us to keep making that investment to offer the broadest range of opportunities for you, our ecosystem partners, to come innovate with us and sustain the kind of volumes we see in these markets: PC, servers, communication systems, graphics, our foundry business, and our software business. All these are based on open standards, and we're absolutely delighted that you're here over the next few days to hear about what we're doing to provide opportunities for all of us to grow together.
You mentioned the UCIe standard, which was some of the folks in my team are working on that. And it's an incredibly exciting opportunity to take what we've done at the system level and start bringing that system into the IC package itself. And it really opens up a lot of opportunities for the ecosystem to develop chiplets and to build new kinds of products, and to do so in a very cost-efficient manner. If you look at kind of the trend of leading-edge semiconductors, we're starting to spend more on the R&D than we actually do on the cost of sales. And by breaking the design into chiplets and being able to reuse intellectual property, even if it comes from multiple foundries, we can start to cut into some of those high R&D costs and bring a much broader and richer portfolio of products to market, not just within Intel, but across the ecosystem. So I think it's incredibly exciting. There's been a lot of cool chiplet innovations, but now we have a standard that's going to lower the barrier to entry and let more players participate. And so I couldn't be more excited by that one. Another one, I think, a technology transition that's going to be very important for the ecosystem over the coming 3 to 5 years, starting with that Sapphire Rapids platform, is the CXL ecosystem. And CXL is a next generation IO interconnect that brings coherency to the platform. And so what does that mean? That means you can now attach memory to the IO subsystem in a way that you couldn't before. And what that's going to allow us to create are new memory tiers within the system. And why is that important? Because we're spending huge amounts of money on memory subsystems, because the amount of memory in the data center is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And CXL will allow us to build more complex memory systems that use that memory much more cost efficiently. That's why you're seeing so many companies invest in CXL-based solutions. CXL also creates an opportunity for composable systems. So within a workload, we can pull together the different resources within a rack to attack it in the most efficient way possible, with acceleration and other resources. So we're just beginning that journey with CXL. And by bringing this ecosystem together, we're going to be able to deliver much more performance at lower cost, that's more sustainable, more cost effective. And those transitions are going to be what drive the business in the future. That's what's going to drive the volume. And we can do it if we work together.
And I think what's important about working together, if I go back to the UCI example we just talked about, we have the world's major foundry partners with us together, creating a standard such that you can mix and match an Intel die, a TSMC die, a Samsung die, all in the same package, and use the best of breed for whatever you, the designers, you, our ecosystem partners, can see fit. And it's only by committing to do open standards with the world's largest manufacturers can we give you, our ecosystem partners, the opportunity to go innovate and pick and choose what you need to come up with the most creative devices possible. So we're thrilled that a number of these partners are joining us here, either through video or actually in person throughout the innovation days. And we're really glad, of course, that you're here with us to listen about it.
You know, it has been great to be here, and it's great to have this innovation event. You know, when I think about all the things we've been through in the last couple of years, the opportunity to claw back some certainty for the ecosystem is the opportunity that's in front of us. We can bring certainty by having a resilient ecosystem. That includes having a strong supply chain. That includes the factories that we're building. That includes open platforms that let many companies in many geographies create products that work together. And I think at Intel, we see that bigger picture, and we work very, very hard and make very considerable investments so that our ecosystem around us, our ecosystem in our supply chain, can know with a little bit more certainty what they can invest in, where the volume's going to be, and what they can build their business on top of. And I think that's really what we're all about, and that's why we have events like this. And so it's great to be together.
And we're offering up, just as proof points, not only do we have to do everything that Zane just talked about, but we have to give you great products. And our 12th gen Alder Lake processor and Raptor Lake processors do exactly that. They're leading edge performance products that you can design around and that you can expect the market will take up, because you have choices that you can make. And only by us giving you winning platforms and winning products will you want to make that investment. And look at Alder Lake and Raptor Lake and the performance it provides in the desktop space as proof points that we as a company are committed to coming out with great products in a consistent fashion, with a set of platforms that are fully supported, with resilient supply chains that go around the world to help satisfy the demands of all of our customers around the world.
Stu, when you talk about great products, that is such an important point. And I think the breadth that Intel brings to the market, from a 2 exaflop Aurora system all the way to ultra thin and light laptops, enterprise servers in between, that breadth of great products, including things like network interface cards and associated technologies that come together to build the world's best computing systems. That's what we're all about. And bringing it to market with our ecosystem, is just a pleasure.
And so what I'd like to do is now close this out for you and let you hear from some of our business leaders as to their views on how important our ecosystem partners truly are to the success of us as a company and to your company. So with that, let's roll a couple of video clips.
Thank you to our ecosystem partners that are working with us to unify the ecosystem supply chain. Together, we are a winning combination. Through our partnerships, we're enabling a more resilient and global ecosystem supply chain, advancing our partnership success and fostering collaboration to deliver purposeful computing experiences. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at Intel Innovation and for attending Stu and Zane's session on unifying our ecosystem supply chain. I'm Sandra Rivera, and I lead Intel's data center and AI business. Our industry is on the front edge of an era of sustained growth driven by the digitization of everything. The world's insatiable demand for compute is relentless, requiring technologies like artificial intelligence to efficiently make sense of all of this data. Collectively, we play a critical role in advancing our ecosystem partners' success, meeting the industry's unprecedented demand for compute and prioritizing our customers' needs. Thank you for your continued support.
Hi, thanks for joining us at Intel Innovation. I'm Raja Kaduri, and I lead the Accelerated Computing Systems and Graphics Group. This is a critical time for us and our customers, who are ramping 4 brand new product lines with us this year. Our Arc GPUs for gaming, our data center GPU for media and AI, our exascale GPU for Aurora supercomputer, and our block scale accelerators. Together, we touch practically every corner of the ecosystem supply chain with these products. As Stu and Jane mentioned, we need to continue to work together with our ecosystem supply chain to drive even closer collaboration and support our customer needs. My sincere thank you to all our ecosystem partners that are supporting this effort.
Thank you for joining us at the Intel Innovation event and listening in on the importance of resilience, secure, and balanced supply chain. I'm Bahman Moallem, and my organization is responsible for ensuring tight connections with our hardware and ODM partners to foster collaboration and advance ecosystem partnership. Our customers are counting on us as a unified ecosystem to bring our best innovations to markets we serve. Together, we can capitalize on Intel's commitment to open ecosystem in compute, platform, and manufacturing capabilities to drive customers and partners' success. Thank you for your support on our efforts now and in the future. I look forward to connecting with you and continuing this journey together.
I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us. These transitions that are in front of us are challenging, but they're also incredibly exciting. And we can't solve these problems alone, not one company, but together there's so much that we can accomplish. And I look forward to the future partnership with everyone in this ecosystem to solve these problems. Thank you from Stu, myself, and the rest of the team here at Intel.